Hey, everybody out there. This is Pastor Andy Duffy from Antioch Church of the Brethren, and I am bringing you another daily devotion here. I decided to switch things up a little bit with these devotions. I've gotten a lot of good feedback from some of you who have said you really appreciate getting a little spiritual boost every few days, a little reminder of maybe how God is working and what is asked of us. Um, but I felt like I wanted to do something that tied in a little more regular. Uh, so far, the devotions have been very random, isolated, basically just doing their own thing each time, stand alone. But I wanted to start doing something that maybe felt more like a series. In our Sunday morning worships at Antioch, we're working our way through the Book of Philippians, which is a letter in the New Testament that was written by the Apostle Paul, who's kind of known as the first great Christian missionary. And he writes this letter to the churches in the ancient Roman city of Philippi. And it's a letter that gives a lot of encouragement to that new church there that he had founded himself. It gives some guidance on some issues where there may have been some conflict. And he talks about how he himself is writing this letter from prison. He's in chains, literally, as he's writing it. But that doesn't stop him, and it doesn't seem to discourage him either. In fact, he says that the chains are helping him advance the message of Jesus and his love for everyone, which is kind of a novel way of thinking about the things that happen to us in our lives. So often they are tragic, they are disappointing. Is there also a hidden opportunity in them? I'm just going to leave that hanging though. So I thought that rather than piggyback and repeat what I say on Sunday mornings, those recordings are also on the YouTube channel and posted every week. I thought that since you can't really cover everything that a scripture passage has to say in a 1-hour worship service, there are things that I don't get to. So I thought for these video devotions, maybe I could fill in some of those blanks. Some of the other little tidbits of wisdom, little pieces of insight, at least that I've gathered. And, you could spend your whole lifetime just studying the 4 chapters of the letter to the Philippians and not uncover every amazing thing you could learn or way that you could grow spiritually. So for today, since this Sunday we will be tackling chapter 2 of Philippians, I thought maybe this week I'll go back over some of the other stuff in chapter 1 that I didn't get to in the sermon. And the first thing I wanted to bring up was a word, just one word, easy to skip over. In chapter 1 of Philippians, verse 4 and verse 5, I'm going to read this to you. Paul says, "In all my prayers for all of you, I always pray with joy because of your partnership in the gospel from the first day until now." You may have guessed the word partnership is the one I wanted to focus on. Now, in other translations of this passage, the word partnership is translated as sharing in the gospel. Sharing is, something that 2 people have in common. We share it. Sometimes it's translated as participation in the gospel, right? So I participate and you are also participating in this larger thing. That's great. It's action, participation. Another way it's translated, and one that I do like, is fellowship. We share the fellowship in the gospel. And that's a word that we don't use very often outside of church circles nowadays, right? If we are in a fellowship, we are fellows. We have, again, something in common. We are fellow disciples. We are fellow believers. Whatever you want to say, we are fellow something. A lot of times today, it carries connotations of developing relationships with one another and spending time, quality time together, sometimes with a spiritual bent. And I think that's great. But I think partnership is still the better word. partner, again, you share something in common. There's action involved. You are matched together. You can still grow as fellows in fellowship, but we got a different kind of ship, right? If you are a partner with somebody, you don't just hang out together. You don't just have a common vague interests, right? If you are a partner, you have a goal. If my partner and I are given a task, like in school, it's the first time I can think of hearing the word partner. A teacher would match people up. Okay, you two are partners, Andy and whatever. You have to work together on this project, right? Well, here Paul is using that language, that the Philippian church is a partner with Paul in this great, big, glorious task that we're all called to. This mission of extending the reach of Christ's love, both near and far. We're partners. I'm a partner with all of you who are listening, and all the folks at the Antioch church, and all the folk who are also disciples in other churches around. It's not about competition so much as cooperation. We are co-munity. We are co-partners. We are co-heirs of the gospel. The question is, how well are we partnering? Do we feel like we have an equal stake in what we're working on? And how do we partner with those who are far away? Paul was writing from a jail in some other city. How can he or the church partner with each other when they're so far? One way is through prayer. One way is through correspondence, like this letter. One way is through love. But today, what can we think? How can we partner with other people around us for the sake of the gospel? One of my other partners in the gospel is Pastor Bilbo. Hey, Bilbo. All right, well, he shook on that. I don't know. All right, well, be thinking about that, and we'll bring you some more tidbits of wisdom from Philippians in the days to come.